Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Lest We Forget World War II Museum in Louisville, Texas. I'm the owner and curator, George Cohn. And tonight I would like to discuss a couple of Americans, which is a very tragic story, but that of Captain Henry T. Wasco of the Texas 36th Infantry Division and of Ernie Pyle, the war correspondent. I'll start out by talking about Ernie Pyle. For those of you that are not of the World War II generation, you might not have heard his name, but he was a favorite of the families, and he was a I guess you could say a front room name that people talked about. They waited on his dispatches. Ernie Pyle became famous during the period of the Grapes of Wrath. If you're familiar with the Dust Bowl, when the Okies were going to California, he traveled with them, and he would sit and write stories about the widow who's in a Model T Ford and they're out of gas and they don't have any tires, and she's got 5 hungry kids, and he'd be sitting there with her typing the stories. So he had dispatches that were really from the people. So when World War II started, Ernie Pyle, as an elderly gentleman, went to North Africa, and he sat in the foxholes with the guys. So he's talking to John Smith from Dallas, Texas, who went to Woodrow Wilson High School, and he's saying, so you're going out on patrol tonight, as the guy darkens a cork or catches a cork on fire and uses that to darken his face. He talks about how he takes off all his equipment that can rattle, and he just wears a Jeep hat and carries his Tommy gun as he goes out on patrol. And Ernie sits there in the trenches with these guys and suffers the artillery and the mortars and the small arms fire, and watches the guys get killed, and he writes these dispatches truly firsthand about what's going on. So the people at home loved him, Ernie Pyle, who later he went through all of Europe. He went through Africa, he went through Italy, he went through France, he went all the way through the war in Europe. And when the war in Europe was over, everybody told him to go home. He was done, and he elected to go to the Pacific. And I want to say it was at the very, very end of the war on Chichijima. He was in a Jeep traveling when a Japanese machine gun stitched him across the chest and killed him. So, in memory of Ernie Pyle, the great war correspondent.